I got that animal ambition. I got that animal ambition. I got that.
What's up, y'all? Smoak here. What's good? In this video, I'm gonna be watching 10 secrets to a guaranteed pop in wrestling by Woke Culture Wrestling. If you watch watching sports entertainment, you're gonna recognize these little things. For them to receive some kind of reaction, whether it is yay or boo, depending who it's coming from, depends how you word it. If you mention the fans' hometown or the town that they are performing in, you're bound to get something. If you're a good guy, you say something like, "How we doing here in Hartford, Connecticut?" They'll be like, "Ah!" Or if you're a heel, you'll say something like, "Man, you guys ain't worth jack in this dump you call Hartford, Connecticut." It should be like, "Boo." Or another thing is, if you're a male or especially a female, I think if you say bitch in the right way, you're gonna start hearing the reaction like, "Oh," or "Ah." Depends how you say it. Like, let me think of it. Like, let's take an example. Like a guy, let's say male or female, doesn't matter. If you're a babyface talking to a heel, you probably say something like, "In every match, you always got those two goons behind you, always interfering in matches like you're a straight out bitch." And you can hear the crowd go, "Oh," you know what I mean? It's something like that. Like, you want to get the fans going somehow, one way or another, on a angle. So yeah, let's get to watch this video.
Getting over isn't easy. It can take years, and in most cases it does. It's a combination of patience and perseverance, not to mention bookers finding the right spot and executing it with a talent that has honed their abilities to a sharpened point. Getting over and mastering one's craft is a slow and complex process, even for those destined to be great. Or is it? I'm Cy for WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 secrets to a guaranteed pop in wrestling. Number 10. Getting the tables. Picture the scene. It's a Monday night, WWE is several weeks away from a premium live event, and there isn't a great deal going on, which means the bookers can pretty much phone this episode of Raw in. So for example, it's Dominic Mysterio versus Carl Anderson, no disqualifications in front of a mausoleum of a crowd in some backwoods market. Nobody really cares about the action, a few fans are bored, and a "We Want Tables" chant begins to murmur out. And then one of the stars draws a table out from under the ring, and the fans go bonkers. Doesn't matter how bad a match is, doesn't matter that they don't care about anything else going on. This is a generation of passive fans who have been programmed to go wild at the admittedly very satisfying sound of compressed sawdust exploding. That sounds snarky, but it's not actually hyperbole. At Hell in a Cell last year, it didn't matter that Cody Rhodes, his body bruised internally to a disgusting extent, was entering the most heroic performance of almost anyone's life. When he was about to eat a table, those fans turned feral. Number 9. Removing an article of clothing. A generation of wrestling fans, those who make up a not inconsiderable part of the audience these days, was raised on Hulk Hogan tearing off his yellow vest and conveying his vast superheroic power to the audience. As that audience matured, Vince McMahon realized that booking women to show off their skin would also allow that audience to react. It wasn't just the pimpled N64 player.
That's a cheap pop, bro. That is a cheap pop.
And Sunny D quaffing boys who delighted in this sort of thing amid the Attitude Era. The squeals of women were also heard throughout arenas when Jeff Hardy took his top off to get his demented aerial stunts all the way over. Though nowhere near on the same scale, Angel Garza initially got over as one of the few highlights of the early NXT on USA era by, midway through his matches, removing his tights, throwing them at his foes, and working the rest of the match in trunks. Kazuchika Okada generated one of the loudest pops in the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling by switching from flared trousers to his classic trunks in 2019. It's not particularly big nor clever, but it is relatively over.
In Garza's case, though, it's NXT, so the same city where they perform at. At the time, it was like Full Sail University. But right now, I don't know where they at right now. But I know it's still in Orlando, but I don't know what site it is. But yeah, so it's different as opposed to, every show is a whole different setting.
Number 8. Saying a naughty word.
That's a fact.
Human beings are simultaneously very complex and very simple. In a warped way, it's almost wholesome or reassuring that people still clutch the pearls or express shock when they hear a certain word in a public setting. Saying the word shit on national television has been permissible for several years at this point. Hell, some shows do a lot worse, but it's a no-no in school and in the workplace. When a wrestler in AEW, and it's always AEW, let's face it, says that word, it's guaranteed to generate a reaction. Can they say that? Well, they can, because they do so virtually every single week, but it still evokes a big, massive whoa reaction. The word has somehow retained the power to momentarily turn everybody into Mary Whitehouse, and virtually every AEW wrestler is brazen in their quest to wield its power. Number 7. Saying a...
Now, they AEW could get away with it, but I mean, they have to tone it down a bit, bro. You hear people chanting like cowboy shit. That's just gimmick stuff. So, you know, I guess the past. But other than that, they should really watch it. Again, sports entertainment caters more to children, bro. That's just bottom line. That's why AEW is not doing better than WWE. Though WWE is a household name. They've been around the block many times. So, there's that too. But, yeah.
Another naughty word. The word crap exists for a very obvious reason. For example, our editor just bleeped me saying the previous curse word, but I can get away with that one scot-free. But it's not very exciting, and so some wrestlers will try their hand at seeing what they can and can't get away with. Jungle Boy reportedly got in trouble for cutting out Christian Cage on TV, and Rick Ross's AEW appearance featured an amazing moment where he called Keith Lee a big MFer, which will never ever happen again.
Yeah, nah, saying the F-bomb is different. That's why I was surprised when Christian told Ed to go f himself. I was like, damn. What? Yeah, when Rick Ross did it, you know, he's not a wrestler. I don't know if he got the MO, or it just, you know, he just instinctively said it. But he was looking at Keith Lee, who was at the ring together, because I think they were waiting for somebody. I think it was a Swerve Strickland thing. And then Rick Ross looking at Keith Lee for a few seconds. He just like, yo, big mother. Yeah, when he said that, I was like, oh, you know, you can see his expression. It's like, it's not live. You can't edit it out, unfortunately.
So what's left? Why, the big old B word, of course, the one every woman in wrestling uses to describe each other for emphasis. It's eternal. The hard B sound adds emphasis to the disrespect. It's fun to say and to listen to.
And that's a fact. It's a fact. Oh my gosh.
Wrestler can get themselves in superb cardiovascular condition and perfect their difficult craft over a painstaking span of years, but most of the time they're not as over as a hard consonant. Number 6. Insulting the local sports team.
Damn.
Certain ancient wrestlers will harp on relentlessly about the lost art of
I said damn about that when he said the time
it is lost because people don't really care about much anymore, desensitized as they are by the conveyor belt of horror that is everyday life. Ultimately, a Twitter user is more likely to get a toxic reaction for burying a wrestler than a rival with whom that wrestler is currently feuding. But mostly when the heel mocks the babyface, the reaction is at best performative. With rare exceptions, the psyche of the general public is out of step with wrestling's traditional method of evoking emotion. Unless those fans really feel something when their local sports team gets insulted. Sport is real, closely bonded to the DNA of those who love it as a family tradition and makes up their regional identity. It really hurts when the local team fails. It penetrates the calloused husk developed across this hellscape of a century, and even the most basic heels grasp this concept. Number 5. Saying something reprehensible. Picturing the WhatsApp message threads of wrestlers is an amusing way to pass the time. There'll be some boring nuts and bolts stuff in there as they toss around ideas for their upcoming match, but the etiquette of the insult is something else. They have to delicately phrase what they'd like to say as an insult to avoid situations like the one that famously arose between Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara last summer. Now, I would never dream of suggesting that you're out of shape, but this seems to be the sentiment online. You know how those marks get. All that said, Can I call you a fat, disgusting blob on TV? It'll get a pop. And a pop it does get, which is why it happens. And the thing is, a wrestler is considered a mark themselves if they don't go along with it too, which is why you hear things like, your beloved family member died recently, and that really gets me off, the taboo of which is a veritable pop generator. Number 4, executing a Canadian destroyer if you ordinarily wouldn't. In a typical week of pro wrestling these days, the fandom will see a classic or near classic match, an unbelievable unscripted promo, a returning or debuting talent, a crazy table spot, a crimson mask, and promises for yet more great matches next week. The modern wrestling fan is inundated with brilliance constantly across countless facets and genres of the medium. Enjoy the wrestling world as it exists right now, because it's almost impossible for it to get any better. So how in the face of this normalized wonder can a wrestler ever hope to get over? There are no you don't see that everyday moments left, unless the wrestler is smart about it. One could always execute a Canadian destroyer, but only if they're one of the 15% of wrestlers who don't include it in their standard repertoire. It's as much crowd appeal as wrestling move at this point, sucking up in the coolest way possible. John Cena should have tried it between 2006 and 2014. He didn't, but the very savvy Dustin Rhodes did. In doing so, he got over in early AEW as an anti-bad faith actor, willing to respect and mix it up with the new generation of wrestlers to get over with the shifting tastes of the fans. See also Bad Bunny, who drew a gigantic pop with a destroyer at WrestleMania 37 because it's a complex and athletic move he seemingly had no right to execute. Number 3, bumping on the apron.
Yeah, and you know, like he mentioned, like he said when he first introduced the topic, it said Canadian destroyer if you usually wouldn't do it. There's guys that will constantly use it. Well, he won't constantly use it, but Dustin Rhodes would do it from time to time at his age too, so that's cool. But I remember this one match, I forgot what it was. It was AEW. I don't remember if it was Dynamite or Collision, but they were doing Canadian Destroyer back to back. Like, first this guy did it to him, and then the other dude got back up and then did it back to him, and the other guy got back up and then he did it back to him. It was a back and forth Canadian Destroyer. I'm like, what? I don't think. That's the thing. That's my issue with AEW. They should sell harder, bro. You know, just like when they kick out of one, like 5, not even like 7, 8 minutes into the match, 10 minutes into the match, after kicking out of 2, the next pinfall attempt, they kick out of 1. I'm just like, come on, bro, why?
Okay, well here's the truth of it. The apron isn't the hardest part of the ring. That metal ring post over there is definitely the hardest part of the ring. Still, it's all a work,
the hardest
and
part of the
commentators
map.
have insisted that the apron is more or less a concrete floor for so long that the fandom has long accepted it as a fact. And because fans readily accept its danger, a pro wrestler will bump themselves stupid on the thing knowing that their agony won't be in vain. Spots like this are so popular in fact that AEW configured its very ring in order to facilitate as many apron bumps as possible in relatively safe fashion. The distance between the ropes and the actual brutal edge of the ring is by design sufficiently large enough for wrestlers to work on it as they would the actual canvas. The structure of the ring enables the talent to appear that they have mastered the impressive art of balance, and they bump in most cases without quite smacking their heads against the sharp, awful corner. Moderately worked or otherwise, as much as people complain about excess in wrestling, the apron bump still elicits a guaranteed pop in 2023. Number 2, kicking out of a finisher. When all else fails, let somebody kick out of your finish. Works every...
I mean, it's an illusion, you know what I'm saying? So that's all sports entertainment is, you know. Just it's pretty much get with the program or don't watch at all, you know what I mean? There's no point of porn all over the product.
Kicking out of a finisher. When all else fails, let somebody kick out of your finish. Works every time. This is something that the vast majority of pro wrestlers do in this day and age rather often to chase that high of a crowd under their complete control. However, greats like Kenny Omega needn't rely on the trick. The man is such a genius at structuring a match that he doesn't have to do it. He can orchestrate a louder pop by teasing a move, by registering how much the execution of a move is going to be unhinged in its apparent danger before it's even struck. He's perfected the pacing and rhythm of a match so that everything within it matters. Consider the Wrestle Kingdom spot in which he battered Will Ospreay's head through an unforgiving Japanese table. It was actually tame by the standards of the wider match anyway, but the visuals were so stunning and the danger level had been set so high that it registered as nothing less than the babyface fight for Ospreay's life. Since few others are this clever, if they want to make a TV match feel big and turn up the volume, the 2.99 kickout and shocked face hasn't stopped working yet. I can hear Michael Cole's voice bouncing around my brain yelling 2.5, 2.5, and number.
Nah, real talk. That match from there, this recording like a week ago, or 2 weeks ago. I really forgot what it was now. Nah, yeah. It was 2 weeks ago. Day 1 Raw 2024. Your General Hall hit him with the Colossus. He kicked out, and I'm just like, alright, whatever. I think he did it twice, and the dude still kicked out. You know, there's only a certain amount of time where just like, actually, nah. It depends how long the match is. Because that Jinder Mahal versus Seth Rollins match, it was like 12 minutes long. You know what I'm saying? So if you kick out the first finisher, alright, whatever. 2? Nah, bro. You can't. F that. Don't tease us that hard, bro. You could tease us, but not that hard. Because it's just gonna get annoying. Not like in a ha way, like in a cringe kind of way. But yeah, it's yeah.
Number 1, performing a rare intergender spot. This isn't a defense nor a criticism of intergender wrestling, more an observation. It's pointless to enter that debate, especially in this form, because of course it always explodes into a massive conversation, also read argument. Of course it's all risky, simulated man-on-woman violence is something sponsors will not tolerate, and when the roles are reversed, the conversation takes a phenomenally bleak turn by those who could do with developing meaningful relationships to grasp a better understanding of how the world actually works.
Yeah.
All that stated, it is a guaranteed pop. Rhea Ripley is more over than most WWE acts outside of the top stars, and she frequently takes out men. On the November 28th, 2022 Raw, Mia Yim executed a body slam on Finn Balor to an ultra rare eruption of a Monday Night Pop.
Real talk, Rhea Ripley, she's over because dudes is horny, bro. That's my take, bro. I swear to God. Talk about we want mommy. Come on, bro. Other than the sex appeal, what is there to it, bro? But again, I'm the minority. I watch wrestling for the wrestling. Of course, I'm gonna pay attention to the storyline now, but
for whatever reason, done sparingly, an intergender spot wakes up the dead. Perhaps that's the point, and something the business can take on as a lesson, even if it isn't applied literally. Wrestling is so excessive in every area between gimmicks, returns, and back and forth high-end action that something the audience hasn't been exhausted by elicits something loud from them. And that's the list. Let us know what you thought of this video down in the comments below. Which of these entries always guarantees a pop from you? And of course,
it was a cool vid. But all those are facts though, whether it's the table or intergender moments of applying to the finisher or whatever the case may be physically. Typically a woman to a man. A man or woman especially, but not in this day of age, it's just a no-no. Yeah, they're not secret, they're just like, hey, we're gonna wake you up real quick type stuff. Like, we know, you probably already know this, so let's just tell you anyways. And just like, heavily agree on stuff. Yeah, I got nothing else to add to it. Thank you guys for watching. Peace, I'm out.